Good morning, Earth Walkers. Here we are for another week. If you're hanging with me, this is Adhpa. I'm here to talk to you about energy agency, exploring it, experimenting with your various energy faculties, and learning how to live this way, walking in an Earth system that's part of a cosmos of energy. So, what I wanted to talk today about specifically is the difference between emotions and energy. And I want to dispel something I call the Spock myth. So, let's start with the Spock myth. The Spock myth is that rational reason, unemotional reason, is the way to live and function successfully in the cosmos. And I say bullshit. And I say bullshit because we all have various faculties. They come with the body and the system of being. And eliminating parts of them is not a method. That's like cutting off your arms, because you don't know how to use them correctly, which is really, really not wise. If you're all up in your head and you only rationalize things, then you miss the whole component of being an energy creator and how emotions themselves are tools, triggers, doorways to the energy. So I like to think of it this way. On the medicine wheel, you have the 4 directions, and each of those is representative of our sets of faculties. So we have in the medicine wheel, if we start from the west, those are the energy faculties. Those are your abilities to intuit, to dream, to imagine, to envision. These are energy faculties. Then you have something called your emotional faculties, which would be to the north. And those are things that are your passions. Emotions are your reactions to energy. And then you have the east, you have the mind, and you have all of the mental faculties. And those are things that allow you to reason, interpret, assess, deconstruct, engineer, that sort of thing. And then you have to the south the physical faculties, and those are all the faculties of your body to walk, move, use your hands, build things, everything that you can do with your physical body. So if you take away any of those sets of faculties or don't use them consciously, it's like cutting off one of your limbs. And humans have completely misinterpreted energy into God because they're trying to explain something that is otherwise unexplainable to them. But it is explainable. It's completely explainable. It's also completely evident to see with your eyes if you know what you're looking for and what you're looking at. So what I want to do a reading on today is on that topic of using our emotions as a flag to the energy. So when I feel something, like I have a physical, an emotional response, let's say that emotional response, let's make it easy to identify. Let's say it's anger, okay? So I get something happens and I feel angry, okay? So humans tend to think that anger is the destination. Once they're there, they're a victim, they've been made angry, that is the end of the road. Then they're going to have to hurt somebody or whatever. But if you think of emotions as a doorway to the energy, then the anger is just the beginning of the road. The anger is what can make you step back and say, I'm having an angry reaction. What is the energy that I'm reacting to with this anger? And then you can use all your other faculties and explore that until you understand what's triggering you. What is the energy triggering you? And then you can use that energy yourself. It's something that's coming through you that you are translating. So you can change it and reform it and translate it into any energy you want and then emit that. So if you want to, when you feel anger, you can start to say, oh, well done. What's triggering me? Why the anger? What's the energy? Oh, is the energy a lack of love? Well, I know what to do about that. And you start to emit love. So all emotions function this way. They are a flag that tells you what energy you are currently dealing with, emitting, creating, experiencing. And that then gives you the opportunity to shift it to the one that you want. Now, when you do understand these things, you'll realize that every human being is driven to this understanding. You don't need school. You don't need churches. You don't even need me or anybody else telling you. Your whole system is always trying to tell you. What you need to do is feel okay about listening to it. And that's something our culture hasn't trained us to do. It's trained us, the toxic patriarchy is a control system that gets into the human systems because the energy that this toxic masculinity creates is all around women. And women, when they have children, when they are producing children, are connected within to that child by a cord through which runs energy. Call it nutrients, call it whatever you want. It's energy. So whatever energy is around the woman and she's immersed in is being passed to the child. And the child will only know and be able to understand and create those energies. So women really are in a position of saving the world by the energy they choose to create when they are carrying children. And the men have a huge responsibility to the world because they'll never be the ones doing that. But every bit of energy they create is being forced into the energy of children. So they need to consider this, because when children's energies tend only to fear and anger, and they can only deal with those destructive energies, they're going to destroy themselves and everybody else. So it's a supremely stupid methodology of raising children to surround women with the energy of control and fear and manipulation and domination. These are all delusional concepts that do not fit cosmic reality. So hold tight and I'll bring you down and we'll see what the cards have to say on this concept of using your emotions as flags to energy. All right? Hold tight and I'll bring you down. Alrighty, so I have shuffled the decks as usual. We're going to use the Crow and the Pocket Oracle today, which are my go-to standards. I like the Crow. I work with the Crows. They're a messenger nation, specifically for the medicine I work with, so I get good messages from them. Remember to hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know I upload daily messages in my post tabs about the daily energies and readings on the 1111 energies, something we'll talk about a little bit more in next week's video. But right now, what I want to know is about humans' use of emotions and how they can use their emotions to help them be conscious energy creators in their worlds. Let's see what the cards have to say about that. And we'll first of all see if they'll throw something up for us to start the reading. Yep. We got the Ace of Wands, which is amazing because, of course, that is the suit of emotion. And the Ace is the first card of that being, you know, it's grace given. It's part of, it comes from living in this earth system, emotions. So I think that's a really good card for the first one. And then let's see what the clarifying cards, this oracle card clarifiers want to throw up for this reading on how humans can use their emotions to be conscious energy creators in a good way. Oh, yep, we got one. Oh, interesting indeed. And second one that it wants next. First card, the sacrifice. The sacrifice. Emotions, as clarified by sacrifice, are the signifier. You know, and that's what we're talking about, really, with the whole busting of the Spock myth. This is about the question being, do you sacrifice your emotions? Does working with the earth in a good way to create good walks require sacrificing your emotions? Or in some way, working with these emotions requires a sacrifice of something, and it may be holding the emotion, right? Like we're talking about, you have to look behind it. But let's see what the challenge card is. Challenged, oh, by the Ace of Cups, and that represents energy. So there we are. Emotions are challenged by energy, and that's just what we're saying. It's as if the emotion is a reaction to the energy, and that energy is clarified by the child. Oh, that's interesting. So, you know, in some ways, it's saying that the reason there's a big issue with human emotions is because they have not developed their energy faculties. They're still in an infancy or a childlike or an immature state of energy agency. What they have control of, what we have control of, the hermit, that going within and seeking truth. You know, from a position of being separated, stepping away. And again, that's what we talked about, is like when you have that emotion as a reaction, but you have to be able to step back from it and examine it. And that's something we have control over. And that is clarified by many paths. And there are many ways to do that. We will each develop a way to step back from our emotion that works for us. In the recent past, the devil, toxic duality, being tied to toxic duality. And this is what I was saying. When you don't have an energy agency, you're going to have imbalance in those other limbs. And that often leads to a sort of toxic duality, this thinking that things are one or the other. But there's always another, and maybe more than another. You know, so we like to say there's never two, there's always at least three, usually four being a sacred number that represents the full commitment and action and the creation of the energy, right? The whole wheel. So that becomes a sacred number. And then there are often many more than four, but there's never just two. So we have been stuck in the past in this dualistic thinking and its toxicity, as clarified by the hummingbird. Yeah, it invades everything. That energy is, you think it doesn't mean much, this duality, but it gets into everything. It hovers over everything. It darts here and there. It's ubiquitous in a sense, and it's ever present in all things. And that is in the recent past. What we can't control is the Page of Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles is that one that comes in to herald things of well-being, physical well-being. So we're always being called to by our own physical well-being. And if we don't, in fact, deal with these emotions and energy in a good way, it affects our health. We're going to be called back to it. The body will always call you to this understanding. It's reflected in the physical health. And that's clarified by the spiral, because that will spiral. So if you hold on to really negative, vile, hateful energies, it's going to spiral into your physical body. And that means if you get stuck on those emotions and don't get past them and deal with the energy, that energy is going to make you sick. So, you know, your body's always trying to bring you to this understanding of all of your faculties. What we are manifesting ahead is the world. This is the portal. This is the endings of old ways and the start of a whole new journey, a whole new world. When you are using all your faculties, it literally creates a whole new world. The Time Master clarifies this, each in their own time. And, you know, time will march us ever towards this energy agency. We can start to know it and do it and teach it to our children, or we can continue to struggle all through our lives to finally come to this point before we go. But the Time Master is going to bring us here eventually. Where we are in relation to it, the Magician. The power is all in our hands. We have the absolute ability to manifest, interpret, and create energy. And this is clarified by the giveaway. And the whole point of it is that the energy is for the whole Earth system as Earth walkers. If you try to do all this and get the, you know, energy agency and just bring stuff into your life to benefit you, that in turn harms the rest of the living beings in the Earth system, that's not going to work. That's what the giveaway is about. It's about creating energy to put out into the world to improve the energy of the Earth system, to nurture it, to balance it, to love it, to feed it, or to weed it and tend it and maintain it, whatever is called for in the time. The environment in which we sit, the Fool. You know, we are in a time and a place of new starts, new understandings. We manifest a new world and start a new journey. So this looks very different to people, and yet your body's always bringing you to it. The Holy Mountain. You know, this is about being in Hamblecha. That's a vision quest. You know, there's a sense that the environment around us is just waiting for us to be energy agency beings and to create, therefore, really sacred, loving, compassionate world energy, which also includes use of technology. Technology is a productive, positive use of energy if we want it to be. Hopes and fears. Hopes and fears is the 5 of Pentacles. You know, that's pretty clear. Afraid of being out in the cold. Afraid of what this will bring. Afraid of walking away from the church. Afraid of walking away from everything that we were taught to keep us in emotion and away from energy agency. You know, but there's also a hope in it. You can walk away from all the stress and struggles those high demand institutions and people put on us unnecessarily. And this is clarified by the heart of the sky, Shka, atmosphere, cosmos. You know, what this is saying is that some people think this is pie in the sky. They're afraid it's not real. And yet they hope that it is. Final outcome, 2 of Swords. Each of us has a decision to make. Each of us has a decision to make with our minds. Once we deal with the emotion, then the mind comes in to help us establish what is the energy, what are we going to create, where do we take this? The mystical shaman. And that's what this is saying. That once you suspend your reaction and identify the energy through the use of the mind, you have to decide what to do instead. And this is suggesting you can transmute it through mysticism. All mysticism is a discussion of energy agency. There's nothing, it's accessible to all. We are all our internal mystic. Bottom of the deck. Page of Swords. This is the one that opens the doors to new thinking. Right? New legal, new truth, new ideas. All of this is coming in to open doorways to full agency of all our faculties, as clarified by the Earth Keeper. So this is for the Earth Walkers. If you want to keep Earth healthy for all beings in the cosmos, in the system, we have to become full agents of all of our faculties. I think that's a beautiful read from the cards on that. All right, hold tight and I'll bring you up and we'll close it out. Well, what do you think? I'm always amazed at how the cards respond. You know, it's something about how when we're working with the energy and full agency, we actually affect physical objects. We affect how those cards are shuffled, what pops out. All of this is coming from energy agency. Very interesting stuff. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of the reading. And come back next week and we'll have a little bit more of a talk about these topics. And if you have one you'd like me to talk about, leave a comment. All right. See you next week, folks.